Wow, 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 bow. Dun, 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 bow, bow, bow. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, looks good. Looks like it does work. All right. So this is we're gonna watch it from my perspective again. We're gonna take a look at this build order. Production wise, obviously SCV. So this one went a bit better for us. As you can see, we're just gonna be doing. And again, we can't even look at the build order. That's super annoying. I actually wanted to look at the build order and show off what I did. So in this one, we're doing the supply depot first. Very good. Pretty standard stuff. You know, instead of our opponent who ended up going gas first, we ended up going supply depot then gas, which is a bit standard. Again, I really liked. I was still trying to do the same build concept because I think I decided that after that first game that, well, you know, I just kind of got rushed and I was losing too many workers to be able to keep up later. So I decided I think to go for the same style again, except I cut out the engineering bay's timing, so that way it would be later. And also, I've noticed it's a much everything's been a much more smooth as well. And why did the graphics look awful? Hold on. Is there something wrong with the graphics? Resolution's good. Ultra extreme on. Okay. I don't know. It just looks really choppy to me. Or really weird. I don't know. Maybe because it's from an older version. Just doesn't look quite as nice. So we're going to be doing the extra depot to complete the wall off, which is good. And we're going to go ahead and throw down the engineering bay. Which, I really like that fast upgrade style in these early days of when I was playing, because in my eyes, people don't really go for early upgrades. It's not really a thing, because they're more worried about the units and stuff, and upgrades aren't seen as that big of a deal. But in my eyes, if you have the same amount of units, but one guy has upgrades, it's going to be a pretty significant advantage. Now, in this one, obviously, instead of going for barracks, I'm going to go ahead and lay down a factory right now, which will be super handy. Also, importantly to note, I'm getting a lot more actions done right now than my opponent, so that is important. However, they're early expanding, which is maybe evens it out. And as you can see, also my camera movements weren't quite as clean during again my earlier time playing about a month ago. Right, this game's from about a month ago. So we get the factory down, and we have the reactor coming on the barracks. And we're still going to do another barracks, because again, I figured if I'm prioritizing upgrades, I really ought to be, you know, getting those Marines out. That's kind of the point. Or at least Marauders, or getting upgrades for Marines, you know, something in general. Going to go ahead and throw a tech lab down on the factory, as well as making sure we're pretty much fully saturated in gas. That way we can get everything done much smoother. In terms of being able to keep up with our siege shake production that we're going to need. Because tanks are pretty much the best thing we could be getting out of our factory. I don't really think, well, unless the opponent goes all air, you don't really need a lot of, you don't need Thors, you don't need Cyclones. Tanks really are kind of
You've built a fancy command center.
And now fully saturated, going ahead and, you'll see I'm going ahead and building more SCVs, dropping down mules, focusing on the tech. And I think in this game, I was thinking about getting an armory as well. As you can see, we did get supply blocked there, so that's bad. Okay, so that's a big highlight of a mistake I made, is that I got supply blocked. It's pretty easy to do.
Add-on is done.
I don't know what the hell this build was, but this clearly isn't very good, because I have 1 Hellion and like 4 Marines for an attack. I know I'm going right now, I think because of my upgrade timing. But again, my supply depots were not being made, so all my units got delayed, everything came out sloppy, my money got high, and I instantly made 2 more supply depots to make sure that wouldn't happen again. Obviously now building more units. The Hellion went there first, so I'm going to go ahead and head in and go for a scout. And I did just catch the mules, which is quite fun. I like making this little catch here. Because mules, while they're free, they cost stuff. I mean, and then he made a mistake here. He tried to run his Marines away, even though I was. And look at that. He lowered his supply depot for some reason. I don't know why. and then he tries to go repair his siege tank, but I just focus it down. And then that's pretty much it for the game, I think. Because he's usually having to pull his SCVs now, his income has stopped. But he's making more stuff, so that's good. So it's not over for him, but, you know. He was even making a third command center. And you'll notice at this point, you know, I'm thinking, okay, he literally had to pull SCVs. He shouldn't have anything.
Your research is done. Don't forget the rest of them.
So I figured I may as well go ahead and keep moving forward. And he makes another Liberator, which is probably a good choice for trying to do some harassment. But obviously my next push is coming. Again, with not that much. You'll notice I'm not pushing with very much. It's not a very big thing, but having that +1 upgrade does help. It let us hit the tank faster. And now with our combat shields done as well, you know, we have much better odds. We brought a Marauder, another tank. And remember, in this version of StarCraft, we don't have, like... Because remember, I attacked with the Hellion at first, but tanks siege automatically when... without having a research siege upgrade, which is huge. So I go ahead and just march into his base. And I'm pretty sure I siege here at some point. Maybe I don't bother. Oh, I guess I didn't bother to siege. Because I have more troops coming. And then that's it. And that's pretty good. So we'll take a look at our opponent's perspective as well when we restart this replay. Again, just showing off this game from the opponent's perspective as well. I like to do that. I like to look at both sides. Don't always do the everyone cam for everything unless there's specific analysis. And when we get to the more recent games I've played, we're going to look at that more in depth because there's specific build orders I'm actually doing. Whereas in this one, I'm just kind of experimenting. But again, the point of these early games is to show that it's okay to experiment. Now, what is that? Oh, you can't see me pointing. What is this SCV? What was that SCV doing waiting around to get the 75 minerals for the gas? That's incredibly terrible. Like, you should still be mining your minerals up until you get the 75, then you drop it, right? Because you go faster. I mean, maybe it's technically not faster, but you're missing out on at least 5 minerals worth of gain. And in the early game, every bit of mineral helps. So, in my eyes, that's not very good. And we'll take a look at what he's doing. He's making one... He's not making any SCVs, which seems kind of bad. I don't think this guy was very high ranked. Again, this was during my placement matches, so I kind of got a wide variety. I got guys who were really high. I fought a diamond guy, actually, in one of my games, I think, and it was just awful. I got wrecked, obviously. And then I also fought a guy who was unranked, so his placement match too. I think this guy might have been a silver. If not, he might have been unranked when I played, because I know this one got me a fair amount of MMR for winning this game.
SCV ready.
So as you can see, he's making SCVs, queuing them up one at a time. Saving up money, I assume, for his command center, which is perfectly fine. Early expand ideas are always a good choice. Nothing wrong with that. He goes for a second gas, but by getting his second gas, he's delaying his expansion. Well, because he's not really doing the expansion. He's about to hit 400 minerals. Maybe this SCV is going to make the expansion. I'd just make the expansion on the low ground, personally, but no, he's going for a factory. Okay, so maybe this guy just wasn't there. Oh, okay, now there's the expansion. Okay, I was going to say, like, if you're going to make an expansion, you should do it. Oh, another thing I've been struggling with in my play that I want to mention is that in most of these games, I don't expand. As I've grown playing, it's been really hard for me to micromanage everything when I have more than one base, which is super bad, right? That's, like, #1 bad thing, because StarCraft is all about more money being, you know, being out on the map, taking more resources into your economy, and I just didn't do that in this game for the records. That's another thing I'd point out, is that you got to be taking expansions like I didn't do in this game.
Command
I was
center upgrade.
pretty bad. I mean, even this guy happened to be worse than me, and that's probably the only reason why I won, and the fact that he didn't make very many units to fight me. So yeah, it's hard to say, but I would personally think that, you know, he also wasn't very good. Again, we were both at this stage of my StarCraft career, just starting out, not very good, which happens, you know. And it's interesting how, like, he's doing a 1-1-1, you know, making the starport and stuff, but now he's climbing all the way up to 400 minerals again. I don't know if it's because he's not spending his money, not making enough supply depots. Like, he is producing stuff, but he's not producing any tanks or anything. I think because he's waiting to swap the factory with the starport. But even so, you could have squeezed out a tank there, I think, with his money. In any case, he's making a third command center. I think he's going to go ahead and swap the starport now, right? I think that's probably a good choice. If not, I'm not too sure what he's doing. Because look, if you notice, he's just not really making units that much. I already have more units than him. He only has 3 Marines. That's it.
Command center upgrade complete.
I mean, I think it's great that he's going to go ahead and try and expand early, like a double expand sort of thing. That's a nice idea. But it just kind of leaves you pretty vulnerable if you're not going to keep up your unit production in the background, which is really unfortunate. You know, and also another thing to point out: neither of us scouted each other. Like he's, you know, and this is where you've seen it all before. But let's take a look at his reaction time, because that's another thing to point out that we can analyze is how people focus and do the reactions on stuff.
Reporting for action.
So I have my 5 Marines here, and he's not really even cranking out Marines. I think he double-clicked with that. I don't know why, but he never raised his supply depot, so I was able to just walk in and I instantly started attacking him. And then he brings his command center back, which I thought was kind of stupid. Like, why would you do that? And you notice if the siege tank moves too much, it doesn't shoot. It needs to stop moving to shoot. So we were able to pick it up. I try and kite, and he's moving all of his workers. Again, unnecessary. He's got a floating command center. You know, again, this guy wasn't very good. But it's okay. We all have to learn somehow. Because, you know, he's not even making anything, and he's floating almost 1,000 minerals, so. What can you do, right? Gonna go ahead and see him land now. Which should be fine. And then we're about to see the kill again. Let's see. So he ended up trying to make more Liberators and a tank again, which is good. But he's not using his barracks at all. And he scans, and he's probably thinking, uh-oh, there's no Marines. And what's funny is that what he sees coming out isn't my full attack force. That's like the reinforcements. So in response, he's not building Marines. And I think that's another thing that probably led to him not being able to handle what happened.
Command
Because,
center upgrade complete.
you know, he didn't have Marines. And then look at this. Now there's a whole force. And then that would ultimately send him to... He makes a Liberator, and that's cool, I suppose. Like it pops out, but the positioning's a bit bad. Because even with the repair, it doesn't really work out. And then he taps out. And that's how games go. Pretty straightforward, I think. I tried to cover both build orders more in depth. Again, we're going to have to relog into Battle.net. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that Battle.net was too stupid to hang on to replay.